Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you're watching Boyd News. Want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Got a breaking news report coming out from Germany's military to share with all of you, and we're also going to talk about Russia in today's video as well, as we have a new joint report that was released today by Germany's Federal Intelligence Service and also their Bundeswehr, which is their military. So take a look at your screen here. German intelligence report indicates Russia will fight NATO by year 2030, so by the end of the decade. According to German intelligence, Russia is preparing for a major war with NATO. Moscow may try to test the alliance with a limited military operation against the bloc's countries. Okay, so huge report coming out today, and we have been hearing lots of stories like this coming out recently over the past couple weeks that Russia's preparing to attack NATO. This is something we've been hearing actually a lot over the last year, but these stories pretty much went away for a little while, but now just earlier this year, we're starting to hear these stories come out again, and maybe a lot of this has to do with this war in Ukraine potentially coming to an end soon. And NATO's also worried that they could be the next target after Ukraine. So I want to show you guys this report. We're going to go over this. We're also going to show you something coming out on X as well regarding the Netherlands. They're also worried about this war kicking off with NATO and Russia in the future as well. So definitely a lot of talk about Russia and NATO going to war in the near future. So we're going to talk about this as we move forward. Let's jump on over here to United 24 Media. Putin prepares for large-scale war with NATO by 2030, according to German intelligence. This is coming out today, March 28th, 2025. There's a picture of Vladimir Putin here. And it says Russia perceives its relationship with the West as a systemic conflict and is preparing for the possibility of a major conventional war against NATO by the end of the decade, according to a new joint report by Germany's Federal Intelligence Service, the BND, and the Bundeswehr, cited by Bild. The report states that the Kremlin is willing to use military force to achieve its strategic objectives. While Russia's forces remain heavily engaged in Ukraine, its Air Force and Navy reportedly retain combat readiness. The assessment suggests that once the war in Ukraine ends, Russian military units could be rapidly redeployed, to NATO's eastern flank, particularly near the Baltic states. Now, this is something that a lot of Baltic nations have actually been worried about, and we know that Lithuania recently just announced they're going to be mining their border, even Poland doing the same thing, as they're afraid that pretty soon, as Russia's going to be holding some major military exercises with Belarus, potentially upwards of tens of thousands of troops could be deployed over there, and maybe we could see some cross-border action over there as some Russian forces may try to cross over into Baltic nations like Lithuania. So it says here, despite current limitations, the Lithuanian State Security Department estimates that while Moscow is not currently capable of attacking the full NATO alliance, it may attempt a limited military operation against one or more member states to test the alliance's resolve and response mechanisms. So yeah, that could be something interesting we may see coming from Russia in the future. Maybe they might try to test to see if NATO will actually respond, or maybe even declare Article 5. As we've seen multiple times already, that we've had Russian drones, sometimes even missiles, heading into NATO territory, and a lot of times these drones crashing in NATO nations like in Romania. I think Poland, it may have happened once or twice as well. Even Latvia, it happened to one time. We reported that. And these are all NATO nations that are being attacked by Russian drones that are supposed to be going into Ukraine, but somehow end up in these NATO member states. Yet at the same time, we don't see any kind of response come out from them. So we could definitely see Russia try to test NATO's resolve. And it also says here, German intelligence further warns that Russia's military losses are being replenished and its defense industry is producing equipment beyond the needs of the ongoing war in Ukraine. Russia's military spending is rising at a record pace, projected to reach approximately 120 billion euros in 2025, equivalent to over 6% of GDP, the report notes. Compared to 2021, the Russian defense budget has effectively quadrupled. The Kremlin reportedly plans to increase army personnel to 1.5 million and expand weapons and military assets near NATO borders by 30 to 50%. In an interview published on March 28th, Admiral Giuseppe Cavo Dragon stated that the goal in Ukraine is to end hostilities across the entire country and secure a just peace. However, a flawed peace can be worse than no peace at all. Okay, so you can clearly see NATO's very worried about this as Russia is building up their military. We do know that they're going to be increasing their army personnel to 1.5 million, and also their defense budget is extremely high right now. Okay, 6% of GDP in 2025 is pretty high, and obviously we know as well that Russia is on a war footing right now. They've converted a lot of their industries into producing weapons for this war in Ukraine. So Russia is on a war path right now, and that's why NATO is worried that they may be attacked by Russia in the future. So now we're going to hop on to X. I'm going to show you guys one more thing real quick over here before we get you out of here from Anton Gerashenko. Russia could carry out a large-scale troop move approximately a year after a ceasefire or peace agreement in Ukraine. Dutch Defense Minister Ruben Brekelmans said in a speech at a Coalition for Security symposium. Imagine Putin putting hundreds of thousands of troops on the Baltic border for a large-scale exercise. Then experience with Ukraine is that we only know 1 week in advance whether it is a large-scale exercise or a preparation for an attack, the defense minister said. Citing the Dutch Military Intelligence Service, Breckelmans noted that Putin has often expressed his desire for revenge for the collapse of the Soviet Union and to restore his sphere of influence, concluding that Putin has the intention, capabilities, and interest to continue his aggression beyond Ukraine. We don't know exactly how Putin will test NATO, but we do know that if Putin attacks a neighboring country that belongs to NATO after Ukraine, then we are part of it. Then the Netherlands must also help defend NATO territory. An attack on one is an attack on all, he said. So even though the Netherlands is not right on the border with Russia, like the Baltic nations are, or even Poland is very close to Russia as well, they're probably some of the closest nations, along with like Romania. But do they understand that, if a war breaks out with these nations right on the border with Russia, they're going to have to send their troops over there to go back them, okay? So clearly, a lot of NATO members right now are very worried about Russia carrying out some sort of provocation on some of the border states that are right next to Russian territory. So again, these stories are starting to come out, and they were being talked about a lot last year, and then for like maybe there was a 6-month break or so where we weren't really hearing these kind of stories coming out. But I think it all has to do with the war in Ukraine potentially coming to an end soon, and they're also worried now, where are all these troops going to go? Okay, if Russia's got all these troops, could they potentially start stationing them over near the Baltic nations, maybe start to launch some attacks over there or some sort of incursions into those nations? But a very crazy story coming out. Just wanted to share this with you guys and give you the information from this German intelligence report that did break today. So let me know what you guys think about all these details down below. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.